Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us at our Human Resource and Human Rights Committee meeting. Today is March 23rd. Can staff please do roll call?
Chair Ballerin,
Here.
Councilmember Farrell,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Williamson,
Here.
Councilmember Zamer.
Here.
We're also joined by Councilmember Robinson and myself, Junior Legislative Aide Carly Johnson.
Okay, thank you. So we have a strong agenda today. Our Chief Compliance Officer couldn't make it, so we're going to cross that off from our list of work for today, but we have plenty of work excuse me, in front of us. Let's start with Resolution 15-31-26R, the reappointment of Thomas Muller. Okay, great, thank you. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. So if you don't mind coming up to the hot seat, as we call it. So this is a reappointment. Can you let us know a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in continuing your role?
How about now? Good. I'm a resident of the city of Albany, and I've lived here for at least 20 years, maybe more. I've been extremely active and involved in the community. I've worked a lot with local grassroots community groups and organizers working to support the community with groups such as Collective Souls Holding Space. I've partnered with some of the fine people actually behind me, including Batman and the Red Bookshelf and Missy the Bass herself. And what brings me joy is the fact that we have really made some progress over the past few years with the commission. When I first came on, there seemed to be a little bit of misdirection. We weren't really sure what the purpose was, and I think each year we've made more progress. We've added some new events that we've started doing this year. We held our first ever Latinx Heritage Month event, and we had some amazing speakers, including Assemblymember Romero, former councilperson Sonia Friedrich, and the city's own Tatiana Diaz, who spoke with us, and a number of individuals. As we move to the future, I think what's really nice is that the council members or the commission members are all really interested in seeing what else we can do. So we're interested in looking at the Rotunda series and bringing that back, and also delving into the initial legislation, because there are some challenges that exist with the way the legislation is and what is actually within our purview, according to the state. So it's been a pleasure serving the past, I think it's actually 3.5, 4 years now, because I filled the vacancy. And we've had some really amazing individuals on the commission, and it's been a pleasure to serve.
Thank you, and thank you for your service to our city in the years that you've worked on the committee. So now I'm going to open up to committee members for any questions. Councilmember Phil.
First and foremost, I really want to thank you for your years of service. You've been an absolute asset to the commission, and also we just really appreciate your willingness to step into leadership in the role, because it's not always easy to step into a leadership role. It's often a lot more time commitment, a lot more headaches, and those like hidden things that nobody really sees, but it's so important. So really wanted to thank you for your willingness to do that, and for your years of service. And I actually, because we are interviewing for another position, I thought I would take the opportunity to kind of see if you could, in your role being on the commission for so many years and in leadership, what are some things that you would like to see that you feel are missing from the commission, or things that you would love for us to ask as we go through this process?
First off, thank you. I appreciate that. We have a nice mix of individuals who all bring with them their own talents. I think one of the things that we're always looking for on the commission is people who bring innovation, who are creative, who can think outside the box, people who are well versed in what Albany needs and what social justice should look like within the city. And just people who are not afraid to get out there and be in the community. People who are looking to be out there and representing the commission and helping us expand and come up with new projects to launch. I think those are some of the most important things that we need. I would also like to say the commission would not be where we are today if it weren't for the wonderful support that we've received from Ms. Katrina Hodge and Melody Woodward and the other individuals from the city who have really, really been there every step of the way and helped us to move forward. So I just wanted to let the council know that these individuals are a credit to us, and we so appreciate them.
Questions from committee members? I see. I'm going to go with Councilmember Williamson and then Councilmember Johnson.
How you doing, sir? Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Just wondering, what are your plans for the you and your staff for the lower wards, for the family, for the children? So, what are your plans to try to uplift, upbuild the lower wards?
Well, I think one of the things that the commission is thinking about doing is looking at coming up with a social justice-based event that can reach out and include more of a family feel to it. I know we talked a little bit about partnering with some of the other commissions in the city and coming up with something, maybe some sort of an info share, or working on some sort of youth-led event that really might pull in the younger crowd, because as we know, it's an important topic, right?
Yes.
And we are losing young people to the streets day in and day out, one way or another. And so I do believe that my background working with students, and we have some other individuals on the commission who also have that passion, I think it's definitely something that we want to explore over the next couple of years.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you for your the genuineness that you bring to what you do. I know I can always count on you to speak up and speak your truth, and it's comfortable knowing that your consistency is at a level that it is. And I just wanted to say thank you and look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Any other questions by committee members or non-committee members? Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you. And again, I echo my colleagues as far as, we want to thank you for your appreciation and your dedication. When I came to the door, when I mentioned about the teenage curfew, you laughed and said there's a lot of pushback from it. So apparently, you had heard that the council is trying to put something together to address the youth violence and how they're during the summer months. Can you, really elaborate on, what was your feedback or was your intake to actually the conversation that you had about this initiative being possibly being brought to the table from the council?
Sure. Well, I could say I've heard arguments on both sides. First of all, when it comes to the violence in our city, specifically regarding youth, it's a problem. It's a really big problem. Having worked with youth of all ages, from 16 to 24, even younger, I understand some of the key things that our youth are missing. We have some really good programming in the city. We need more. And not just programming, but programming that works. We need individuals who are out there who are going to be able to connect with the youth, and I think that's lacking in a lot of ways. I'd love to see city-sponsored events that are geared more towards, I would say even as young as like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, because I think right now we don't have as many of those opportunities for them. As far as the curfew, I've heard a lot of people speak in favor of it, and I've heard a lot of people speak against it. Personally, here's what I believe. If a child wants to be out in the streets, they're going to be out in the street. There's some sort of responsibility on the family to help our youth stay out of the street. So while I can see the benefits of putting in a curfew and trying to hold families more accountable, I'm not sure that it is going to have as much of an impact as the council would like to see. However, I 100% understand that we need to try something to save our youth. I just don't know that the curfew is really going to accomplish what the end goal is. I would prefer to see investment in community and community centers and events outside for youth, block parties, those sorts of things that can encourage our youth to participate in a safe environment, right? And I think that's what's missing right now, is that feeling.
I thank you for your honesty, and as we do proceed to try to draft some legislation to address this, I will ask that you come in and give your input, and hopefully we can find a happy medium and do what's best for our youth and our families. But
Absolutely.
Thank you for the honest conversation.
Thank you. Any further questions from committee members or non-committee members? Okay. Councilmember Johnson.
It was hard not to bring this point up, but a lot of what you were discussing, the community center, that's all worked in the resolution. So I think it would be exciting when we get a chance to have a full discussion after we had a chance to see some of the things that we saw of the actual curfew and the action. So I think we'll be pleased with the effort, and we need some good spirit around it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do you have any questions or any other additional information you'd like to share with us?
I don't. I just, again, would like to thank you for the opportunity. It is an honor to serve the city, and I look forward to continuing over the next 3 years.
Well, again, thank you for your many years of service, and thank you for your willingness to continue to serve our city. Thank you. Okay, and with that, do I have a motion to move resolution 15-31-26R out of committee with a positive recommendation? Councilwoman Zaima.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion to move resolution 15.31.26R out of committee with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor? Okay, that is unanimous. Okay, thank you. Thank you again for your service. And this will be moved forward to our next full common council meeting. Next, we have interviews for prospective candidates for the Commission of Human Rights. I think we've got 5 interviewees today. So I'm going to allow staff to, call them by name based on when they signed up. So, is this the order? Okay, yes. Yes, Councilmember Johnson? I apologize. I was just made aware we have public comments. I apologize. Normally we start our meetings with public comments. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to do public comment at this time? No? No, you're good. It's okay. It's okay. So we have no one that wants public comment, that's okay. We always want to make sure we have that open. So who was the first applicant? I want to do it in some type of structured order, because you said it was,
Yeah, so the first applicant, it should be Dimitri Sandal.
okay. Are they here at this time? Okay. So this may be quicker than I thought. Okay, is Beverly Hayes here? Okay. So, normally when we do this, since we have so many applicants, we'll ask the applicants that are, not being interviewed at the time, if they could step out, so that we can, allow that individual to have the opportunity to speak with the board directly. Thomas, if you wouldn't mind staying, just so, um, if you can give us maybe some input before we're done. Thank you. Can you close the door? Sorry. Oh, thank you. Good evening, ma'am. Thank you for your application and your willingness to serve on this committee. Can you give us a little bit of information about yourself and why you'd like to serve?
Okay. Oh, here I am. And I retired in 2024. And after finishing teaching, I wanted to do more with law. I was always teaching in law when I was a child. And I went on to Albany Law School and completed the Advanced Graduate Certificate in Government and Advocacy this past August. I am looking for a way to use that certificate and helping others and to gain more knowledge about the law. And so I was scrolling through Facebook, and I commend you for putting the announcement on Facebook. That's how I found it. I didn't know these types of offices or services existed until I saw it on Facebook. I've grown up in Albany. I've been a child in Albany since a little girl, and the south end of Albany, which I still live in, the south end. And that's mostly of what I can tell you about myself. I also was a student in the Albany Public School System before I became a teacher. Anything else?
No. If you want to add anything else before we start questions?
Yeah, well, just that I'm interested in helping others, and that's why I wanted to be a part of this committee.
Thank you very much. Questions from committee members? I'm going to start with Councilmember Farrell and then Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you so much for your interest in applying and also for your many years of service to our students and to the library.
Yes, and the library. I forgot about the Albany Public Library. 18 years there.
Yeah, both of those things are so important. Both of those groups are so important to the future of the city. So we appreciate your service there, and it certainly, your experience could obviously be very helpful to the Human Rights Commission. I'm curious, what need or role do you see the Human Rights Commission filling within the city of Albany, and how do you think you could help with that?
Looking at situations that arise with religious rights, gender rights, I want to be one of the people that, if a case were to come up, to help decide which way to go with that situation. In law school, I was taught that you look at the law first, and then you look at the evidence, and then you also do some research to other briefs on the same type of law and find out how other municipalities decided the case. So I just want to be a help to people in the city of Albany when it comes up to human rights issues. And the religious liberty and gender rights are one of the things that come to mind for me.
Okay, any other questions from committee members? Councilmember Johnson, I'm sorry, you were next.
I just want to say thank you for your years of service with the Albany City School District, and also for your interest in serving. And lastly, thank you for representing the South End.
Thank you. I love the South End, and I just want to see some things change in the South End as well.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other questions from any council members? Councilmember Williams, I'm sorry. Don't be shy with your hand. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
Yes,
Councilmember
good evening,
Jones.
Ms. Hayes. Thank you very much, ma'am, for I appreciate it. You taking the time out and is coming and talking to us. You want to be a part of the Human Rights Committee. One of the questions I want, how do you feel about teenage curfew?
Well, I know that's been in the news a lot here lately, and I guess I have some, I'm just not decisive on some of it. I do want to stop the violence against young people. Like another young man was shot, 14 years old. I remember back when a lot of these shootings started, it was the young lady, a little girl that lived on Clinton Ave. And I remember coming out of school that day and seeing the police cars just flying up the street, and I said, something horrible has happened. And I think she was the first one, and my pastor and we went to the mother's house to visit her. We didn't know them, but I think that was the first one. So I want to see that stopped. I'm tired of hearing about our young people lives being taken.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but I don't know if a curfew would stop that. I don't know what all the answers are to that. I think there needs to be more things in the city for them to do. When I was a child growing up in the South End, we had something called the Teen Center.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
We had places to go and to hang out and be with each other, and if there was conflicts, there was resolved there. We had adults that talked to us, even at the playground and things like that. We also had something called the neighborhood police when I grew up,
Yes.
and they were very involved with the community. So I do want to see the violence stopped with the young people, but I'm not sure if a curfew is going to be the total answer.
Okay. Well, I thank you. Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. So, you know, looking forward to hearing more, but we are working diligently for the lower wards and trying to, you know, make it safe as well, you know, and trying to bring it up. You know, I know you mentioned about the team center and different things, so things going to be looking positive. So we just, you know, once again, thank you very much, Ms. Hayes. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Zamer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Hayes, for being here and for your long service to the city and to our children. As you're a product of the city schools, I'm a product of the city schools.
Oh, okay.
My children have gone through the city schools and are still. But your perspective as both a student and a teacher is pretty unique and special. What do you see that has changed as far as what sorts of supports or resources our children are getting that maybe has contributed or affected the rates of violence that we're seeing, that and do you see that being very different from older generations of Albany City Schools?
Yes, so I taught on Clinton Avenue for many years, and one of the things that I saw was that the kids were coming in dealing with a lot of trauma. We had extensive training on trauma, and that trauma led to the behaviors in the classroom. A lot of times when kids deal with trauma, they don't always have the language to explain why they're exhibiting the behaviors that they exhibit, so they just lash out. A lot of times I was hit, punched, and kicked and slapped and stuff like that, but a lot of that came from the trauma that they're dealing with in their neighborhood. So it's different from when I was a kid growing up. My neighbors were also my parents. And on Clinton Street, my neighbors were my parents. If my mom wasn't home, we went to the neighbor's house. So the neighborhood took care of the kids and brought them up. I don't see too much of that anymore. But what the kids are dealing with now is a lot of trauma, and some of them can't go outside and play because of the shootings and the behaviors that are taking place in their neighborhood. And then they come to school with all of that, and some of them are not getting fed like they should, so we try to make sure that they have the necessary, the things that they need, like the food and like coats and things like that they needed to go home with, and to try to be safe. And they found in school, I guess, structure. I've had in my teaching career 3 times a mom would come into school and drop them off and say, I'm not coming back to get them. So those are the things that kids are dealing with now, and that's all trauma. It not only traumatized the kids, but also traumatized me as a teacher in dealing with that. And so I was glad that we had several years of training in trauma. When a kid acts out and things like that, you don't say, what's the matter with you? You ask them, what happened? And get them to calm down and talk to you about the situation. And then you get the parents to the right people or right resources to help the parents out. But a lot has to do with trauma, what you're seeing, and as they grow up, they haven't had help in how to deal with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional questions from members? Sure, Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you. Again, thank you for your willingness to serve on the commission. And you're in the presence of 3 South Benders right now, born and raised in the South End. And a lot of things you said, we can identify with. Do you remember the term, is 11 o'clock, do you know where your children are?
Yes.
Okay, how was that broadcast? How did you?
It was on television, and you hear the guy or he came up like, I don't know how he was dressed, I can't remember, but it's 11 o'clock, do you know where your children are? And then the whole screen would go, shh. Yes.
Right. So, I say that, and I also want to, say to you that within this teenage curfew initiative that the council is working on,
Yeah.
all the things that you addressed as far as the programming will exist within the legislation. That being said, that okay, now you know that all your concerns about the children lacking the type of services, through programs, through whatever issue that may be at home, where parents is working and there's no one there, maybe there's food in the house, maybe single parents, right? We know and we understand, and that's part of the legislation. I'm saying as far as the curfew itself, what is your drawbacks? What is your concern that would make it not be as effective with everything that you said that you say that is not in play, that it now is in play? What's your perspective as far as tuning in on the curfew itself?
How would it be enforced, and what types of resources or activities would be available for the kids? That's the things that I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, the enforcement. Because this is a hands-off approach by the APD, the Community-Led Initiative, not unless a crime is being committed. And hopefully that, we will have the resources for them late-night programs and everything that would be in place, that if the children is out of curfew, that we can make sure we get them to them programs.
So what do you do with kids who don't want to go to those programs, who want to hang out in the streets and things like that? I have all these questions.
Well, again, we can't serve everybody. We can't save every youth, but if we can save one youth, we're doing more than
That's
it
true.
was if we're not acting. So it's about taking a proactive approach and trying to get the right people that have that lived experience touching our children.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from council members? Okay, I see none at this time. Is there any additional information you want to share with the body?
Questions that I might have?
Any
Yeah,
questions
how
or
many
additional?
seats are open on this commission?
I'm sorry, we only have one vacancy, correct?
One?
So we
Okay.
only have one
And are there
vacancy.
seats on other committees, like the ethics committee and things like that? I didn't apply for that, but I was just curious.
I think I think, do you have an answer for that, Councilmember? Freeman?
I know that we do need people to apply for the ethics committee. That's something we're just starting and certainly need interest and yeah, if
So it's not too late to apply for that one too?
not at all, no, no. And certainly with an interest in law but having a lot of experience with like libraries and different things, it would be a good fit to serve on that too.
Is it possible to give Ms. Hayes a full list of all the committees that we have openings? You could,
Okay, all right. Am I done?
I want to thank you for your many years of service to the city and our kids. I appreciate your willingness to serve and your eagerness to look at all the opportunities that we have to serve, because we have lots of opportunities and a lot of work to do in all different scopes. So
All right.
thank
Well,
you.
Thank you very much for having me here.
And I look to staff, what candidates coming next? Okay, thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us and your interest in this commission. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you put your name forward?
Yes, my name is Eva Bass. I am a longtime resident of, well, born and raised. I am a Capital Region kid. I was a foster child, so I grew up in Albany, Schenectady, and Troy, but I'm born and raised in Albany, New York. I am the CEO of two organizations. A Village, Inc. Is an organization I was appointed to, community advocacy organization, and Bridge the Gap Resource and Outreach, Inc., which is a community-based organization that addresses systemic issues centered around the social determinants of health, focusing on social and emotional well-being. We actually have a community safe space center down in North Albany, which services the whole city, but we're located in North Albany. I do mentorship programs, community advocacy, and events, and so much more. I'm horrible about talking about myself, but I am very interested not only in human rights, but just making sure that we are progressing forward on a strategic level when it comes to social justice.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from committee members? Gonna go Council Member Williams and then Farrell.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eva Bass. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you for your service and, what you're doing, your 501c3 for the community in Albany. not just uptown, downtown as well, the whole surroundings. Really appreciate that. The families, the children, they need it. A couple of things I wanted to talk to you about or just ask you. Um, how do you feel about the teenage curfew?
Okay, so I am actually a delegate with the mayor's office that is addressing the teenage curfew as well as the violence in our community. I do believe that we do need a teenage curfew. However, I do also believe that it needs to be addressed in a way that works for our community. Realistically, I heard somebody say earlier, I think Tom said, if the kids want to be outside, they're going to be outside. We have to, as a mother of 3 children who are now adults, and the road was not always easy. I wish that there was more enforcement in making sure they weren't running the streets and adhering to, our laws. I believe that the curfew is necessary because we need to make sure that we're enforcing a better accountability structure, not only for our youth, but also for our parents. When, your child is going, I have a teenage son, he's a senior in Albany High School right now, and he's out a lot, but he's a good kid. I know where his whereabouts is, I have his location. If I don't hear from him within a certain period of time, he has accountability to contact me. I have his coach's information, I have his teacher's information. There's a lot of youth that don't have that. There's a lot of youth that are going around unsupervised without any accountability for themselves. And I think that it is our job and our obligation as a city, different entities, as well as the city of Albany, to make sure that there's a curfew to support accountability.
Thank you very much. I really like when you said holding the parents accountable, for the children. I mean, that's an asset right there. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Ms. Bass. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Phil.
Thank you so much, and I thank you so much for everything that you've done for the city over the years. It's hard to be involved in the city of Albany and not hear the many contributions of Ms. Davis.
Oh,
So
thank you.
we really, really appreciate it, and it matters a lot that you're willing to serve on the Human Rights Commission. And I appreciate in your letter, like, there's other opportunities too that your desire is to continue to give back and be involved.
Yes.
So it's not a surprise with all that you've done, but it is so deeply appreciated because it does make a difference. What need or role do you see the Human Rights Commission filling within the city of Albany, and how do you see yourself helping to make that happen?
Yes. I think with the Human Rights Commission in the city of Albany for a long time now, we have missed the mark with making sure that we create a space where our community feels supported when they need advocacy, when there are things happening centered around housing, violence, social justice, and different disparities. I think the Human Rights Commission is a place where we can make sure that we establish an entry point for our community to understand that there is support and to help them to be able to navigate. And sometimes navigation is just being able to advocate in the places that the community normally doesn't show up at, like at the tables or here in the Common Council. Many community members don't have the capacity to come and support their own situation, right behind this table. So I think that the Human Rights Commission can do better at strategically aligning ourselves to advocate when it comes to social justice issues like housing, different food disparities, and even today I was outside with the youth who were advocating about fair treatment when it came to CDTA. And standing up about them not being able to have access to a resource that they are really entitled to. So I think that in addition what the Human Rights is already doing, I think that what I can bring to the table is to help with more strategy and ways to collaborate to make sure that our community's voices are heard, and there's a place where they can feel well supported no matter who is in administration.
Thank you. Any additional questions from council members? Okay, with that, no, oh, I'm sorry, common council member Robinson.
No, not me. Ms. Bass, I just want to give you a great hug, a big, 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 big bear hug. It's so much work to be done. My question to you is, I know you've been around through past administrations. Can you explain, or can you express what do you see or what do you feel is different about the current administration compared to past administrations?
Oh, definitely. Yes, I can. So I'll approach it wisely because there's so many things. But for someone who chaired the equity agenda for 5 years under the last administration, and someone who has also been a colleague with our current mayor through her journey through the Common Council, the city auditor, and now to our current mayor, I think that that proximity helps me to understand the difference a lot more than most. And I want to say that our current administration addresses it by looking forward with more strategy, as well as has a ability to represent the direct community that they're serving when it comes to the systemic issues, right? Sometimes when someone is leading, they might look at a situation from a view, not from experience, but just from maybe a professional view or what they think should happen. But the current administration is able, not only because she's a Black woman, but because she chooses to position herself in a way that she puts the community at the front of her decision making. And she allows the community to give the feedback, and she uses her expertise to be able to mitigate the situation. She doesn't direct the situation, or she doesn't use her own personal she doesn't use her own personal judgment just based on how she thinks or feels something should be. Our current administration, our mayor, Dorcia Piliers, she leads by not only what she hears, but what she experiences. And if she is not directly connected to the situation, she makes sure she puts herself in a place where she can better understand. And so that's the difference that I see. I hope that explains it. I'm trying to be as nice as possible.
As always, you hit the nail with the hammer. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
And just keep doing what you're doing, Queen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Okay, seeing none at this time. Do you have any questions or any additional information you'd like to share with the committee?
No, I would only say that, you guys read my letter of intent. A lot of you know the work that I'm doing. I'm very serious about making sure that I push forward to the best of my ability the needs of our community, and I do my due diligence to make sure that I lead in a way that makes the community feel heard. Even though I am a direct resident of this community, I experience the same things of the community. I always lead by making sure that I put the community's voices first and allow them to be able to, if they can't come themselves, to be able to filter through me. to make sure that their human rights are upheld. And it's so very important. And so I just say on a personal note, it will be an honor to serve the City of Albany on the Human Rights Commission on a larger level, because I'll be able to be more impactful, more strategic, and hopefully to create more collaboration within the City of Albany.
Thank you. Well put. And I also want to just say, like other colleagues have, to you, Ms. Bass, thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done for our city and the work you continue to do every day.
All right. Thank you all as well. Be blessed.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for
Hello, good evening.
thank you for your interest in the position. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you put your name forward in this role?
Sure, yeah. So I'm Jim Ketterer. I actually used to be a member of the Human Rights Commission. I think it was maybe 2009, 2010, thereabouts. And I had to resign from the commission because I moved overseas to move to a job in Egypt in the immediate wake of the revolution that took place in Egypt. And I've spent a fair amount of my adult life with home base here in Albany, but doing a variety of overseas jobs and making that connection between what goes on here in Albany and in this region and what's going on globally. And so when I saw that there might be a possibility to rejoin the commission, I thought that this would be a good time to do it because, number one, I think that the sorts of things that are within the scope of the commission's duties and responsibilities have always been crucially important, but I think no more important than they are at this moment, what's going on nationally, what's going on globally, and you know the devil's in the details, and how human rights really play out, how it affects people's lived experience, and I think at the city level, that is really where the rubber hits the road, and so I, have wanted to be engaged now that I went to Egypt again for another job with the American University in Cairo, and I've been back for a couple years, and I've been looking for an opportunity to be engaged in a way that I think that maybe my skills and experience would allow me to make a substantive difference and some kind of contribution, and this seemed like this might be that kind of opportunity. I have to say, while I was sitting outside, I had a nice opportunity to have a lovely conversation with the other candidates, and there is a perpetual stream of things to feel very pessimistic about in the world today, and I was just optimistic that the three of us are interested, and so no matter how it plays out, I take that as a positive sign that people are interested in being engaged in something this important at the city level.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from committee member, Councilmember Zamer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ketterer, for your interest.
Yes.
And obviously your resume, your background is fascinating. And I'm curious about your time previously on the commission.
Mm-hmm.
I know it was a few years ago.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that 2010 and 2011 was that many years ago, but time flies.
You can just say a few.
Yeah.
What do you see, what sort of unfinished business did you have, I'm sure, or is there something that stands out that you would have liked to continue, or something that you see your expertise specifically being able to contribute to currently? If you pay attention to the commission currently,
Yes.
what sort of things stand out in your mind?
So, I mean, for the first part of your question, I mean, but back to what the commission was doing then, it was focused it was during the time of Mayor Jennings, and I came to the commission via the council, one of the council-appointed seats, and it was very focused on a few major events, as I recall. One of them was the annual Juneteenth event. There was also, I think this was relatively new when I was on the commission, recognizing members in the city who had contributed a great deal within that year to something that was in the scope of human rights, kind of broadly defined. And I would say like human rights and civic engagement. So we had an event here in City Hall and recognized those people, and I think that was a very positive thing. I think what was unfinished then, and maybe it is finished already, and things have been well attended to, but I think is always the concern with something like human rights is that you end up spending a lot of time doing events for and talking to people who are already convinced of the importance of something like human rights. And what I think is crucially important, particularly in our challenging times, is to reach out to new audiences who may be unsure what human rights really means, or what it means in the city context, what it means for their lives. And I think that there are opportunities to do that through a variety of different ways. Some of them are events, some are those kinds of awarding and recognizing people. Some of them are working, and again, this might already be happening, so I don't pretend to have any monopoly on knowledge, but if it's not, working in partnership with some of the cultural institutions in the city, the educational institutions in the city, and working in partnership with them to, kind of expand the reach of what the commission does, but also to reach beyond kind of the usual stakeholders who are already on board, to find those people who I think need to be part of the conversation and haven't been for one reason or another.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Mr. James. Appreciate it, taking the time to come out. I know you mentioned that you was working overseas. Are you planning going back overseas if you accepted, if you offered a commissioner job? Because I know you.
No, I don't have any plans to go back overseas.
Okay.
I mean, I've returned to teaching at Bard. I was a dean there before, but I'm just teaching, and I'm very busy with a variety of other projects that keep me based here, and so no plans to go back overseas. I mean, I do some intermittent things overseas. I was just in Sweden 2 weeks ago, and I was having a series of meetings there, and with political and diplomatic people, and it was very interesting to see how our country is perceived from abroad. But that was just a one-week trip, and I do work on occasion with the United States as a member state of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. It doesn't sound like we would be a member, but we are a member of that organization, and I do election observations and some other work to support democratic institutions through that. But that's usually, a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there, a couple times a year.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Phil.
Thank you so much, and hi, Jim, how are
Hi.
you? It is, we really appreciate you applying for the Human Rights Commission, and I think it's really wonderful that you've already served on it, so having that historical reference to kind of see where it once was, but what it's become now. There are the Human Rights Awards still, and it's a wonderful event that usually council members attend. So it's neat to hear some of the things that are still in existence.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad to hear that, actually. I had lost track of that.
Yeah, it's a really lovely event. And your resume is incredibly impressive. We appreciate your service all around the world and coming back and making Albany better and the desire to continue to serve. What need or role do you see the Human Rights Commission filling within the city of Albany, and how do you see yourself helping to fill that role?
Well, I mean, Albany, like cities everywhere, but particularly American cities, its strength is also its challenge, the diversity and pluralism, and all of the things that we like to tout as positives, also can be friction points in our society. And I think that the Human Rights Commission can be a place where people can sort through some of the challenges, and at the same time double down and triple down and emphasizing the sort of the bedrock principles that are at the core of, you know, whether it's city government and activities in the city, and then at every other level of our society. But I think it really has to start at the local level. And so I happen to be a city resident, and this is my city. I'm not originally from Albany, but I have been a resident of Albany for many, many years. And I think that, you know, as I was saying and answering the previous question too, about, you know, reaching out to other institutions, and, you know, the fabric of the city, these kind of, you know, important institutions also should be part of the conversation about, and activities about, events about human rights. So, you know, I think the overlap, as an example, between cultural affairs and human rights issues there's a natural overlap there. There's a natural way to bring people together via those kind of cultural events and institutions, and it's not like the human rights is kind of off to the side and that's a separate conversation. I think they ought to be interwoven in some way, but it takes finding the right people, finding the right interlocutors, working with them, and then doing something that's real and not just a set of abstract conversations and ideas. So I think, you know, the power of being at the local level allows you to do things that are tangible and immediate, and address people's concerns rather than abstract ideas that get sort of swept away in you know, the relentless news cycle. So I think that's what the commission can do. It seems also that, you know, I think as I was reading about the specific responsibilities of the commission, it is to address if there's any specific concerns, any specific issues that come to the commission or that are happening in the city that are within that scope. I confess that when I was on the commission before, it was always a little unclear to me what that exact functional area of the commission was, and I think there was less focus on it in those days of, you know, many years ago. So I would be, if I were fortunate to be selected, I would be interested to see if there's something that has changed over time, or if not, if there's an area that's potentially there to expand in that area that seems, I think, maybe a little more, it's not specifically legal, but a little more legalistic in its responsibilities than the other kinds of events and awards and things like that.
Any other questions by committee or non-committee members? Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you. On a local level, you stressed about the importance of human rights. Are you familiar, are you aware that the city council is considering instituting a youth curfew?
No, no, I was not aware of that. And I try to keep up with the news as best I can, but that had escaped my attention.
Okay, what would be your specific concerns if that was to be instituted?
To have a youth curfew, well, that's, I guess the first thing I would want to know, just as a citizen of Albany, not even on the Human Rights Commission, but I'd want to know, like, well, what specific problem or set of problems is that seeking to address, and is this the right tool to address that set of problems? And you know, it strikes me as quite dramatic move. I mean, a curfew is you know, these are serious things. I've lived in countries that have undergone curfews during revolutions and the coup d'etat and things like that, and it brings society, you know, it really has all kinds of ripple effects that I think can be unintended and unanticipated. So, you know, it would be obviously for the council members, you're in the decision-making roles to have to make that decision for the city, but it would, you know, I would certainly hope that if there was a possibility that the Human Rights Commission could add some perspective on this, I would definitely welcome that opportunity to do that. I can imagine it would be a very major decision to be made on the city level.
I mean, the reason why I stated because human rights, you know, you would have, you know, the first thing would come to, you know, a regular civilian's mind is the enforcement. You know, that, you know, now we back to stop and frisk. You know, now people's constitutional rights is being infringed upon.
Right. I mean, I agree. You know, you're right. You're absolutely right that, you know, if such a thing is passed, and then you have to anticipate, well, how is such a thing enforced? And then you have to anticipate, well, in the process of enforcement, what are the effects on the city residents of those enforcement policies? What are the constitutional issues? What are, you know, what are the broader effects on, I mean, the economic issues? There's many layers to what it would seem to me would be a very complex policy decision to have to make. I mean, that's honestly like quite a huge one to have to undergo, and I think there's a lot of ripple effects. And, you know, if there are other cities that have undergone this, I would certainly want to take a very hard look on how did it work, did it work, what were the positive and negative effects in doing so. Yeah, there's certainly a lot to chew on there, and a lot to anticipate. But the enforcement things is, I think, would be a great concern. And I honestly don't know, and you all could tell me, is this the sort of thing, this kind of policy decision would, because when I was on the Human Rights Commission, I don't recall ever a time when we were asked to offer an opinion as a commission or as commission members individually on potential, you know, pieces of legislation that were before the council. I don't recall such a thing happening.
Yeah, times is changing. Within the last month, we had 3 juveniles from the ages of 14, 15, and 16, you know what I'm saying, wounded by gunfire.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Right, so as a council, we just can't sit back and not, you know what I'm saying, look for tools to address this issue. So
Right.
that's, I mean, and you applying for the human rights, and I know that the conversation is the constitutional rights of a stop and frisk or police involvement. So that's why I asked, what would be, what I'm saying, your foresight on, if somebody mentioned curfew, what would jump out to you?
Yeah, sitting right here at this moment with, all of the caveats that I've just explained, everything that I don't know about how a curfew might work and how it might be enforced, it sounds like there's a very serious issue, as you have described, that needs to be addressed for the safety of city residents, and at the same time, is this going to be the policy that moves that forward and is helpful, or would it be counterproductive? Would it violate basic constitutional rights in the name of safety? And these are the kinds of issues that are debated at the national level, but it's at the city level where people's lived experience really makes the difference. It's at the city level where people are going to, if they're beneath a certain age, they're going to be the ones where it's enforced upon them. If you have your kids out and about, you're going to have to deal with that, and that's very tough stuff. I think that there's a lot that would have to be analyzed, and I'm sure that it is. I'm not pretending that it isn't, but I would think that there's an awful lot there that would make it important to analyze ahead of time to make sure that the cure isn't worse than the disease.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions from members? Okay, we have none at this time. Do you have any additional information you'd like to share with us?
No, I think we've covered a lot, and I've appreciated the conversation and appreciated the opportunity to come here and offer my willingness to serve. But as I said, I also really appreciated the conversation with the other two people who were being interviewed, and I think it bodes well for the city for multiple people to come out for a single position and be interested in being engaged. And so I think that whatever decision you all make, the city is a winner in just the interest, and that's a positive thing. And I'm all about finding positive news these days.
And I will agree with you 100%. I think as a city, we're very fortunate that we have so many people that are willing to come and volunteer their time and serve on these different commissions and committees.
Yes.
And we appreciate you being willing to do that with all your experience and your wealth of worldly experience to be willing to come and share that with us and share that at the local level. So thank you very much for being here today. And if you've got no other questions for us, we're all set.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you. We've got one more interview, and then we'll be set. Good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm better than some and worse than others, good brother.
I can understand that. Well, first and foremost, thank you for your willingness to put your name forward for this position. And if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to be on the committee.
Yeah, I think people are kind of familiar with me, but in case anyone's not, Paul Collins Hackett, born and raised in Albany. Been here my whole life, and everything I've done and everything I choose to do is in dedication to the city and all the people that live here. I'm executive director of the Red Bookshelf. We give away kids' books, and we do programs in schools to teach kids how to read, and we make it fun, because a lot of times kids grow up getting angry about reading, whatever. So we make it fun. We do superhero stuff, film projects, whatever the case may be. I'm board president of Big Brother, Big Sister, where we're working with our young people to get them more mentors, right? A lot of times young people haven't had someone who really cares or has the time or, makes time for them. So I'm trying to rebuild that and restructure it. I was in a Big Brother, Big Sister program when I was younger, so it's near and dear to my heart. We run a summer camp. We do other things with the bigs and the littles to get them outside doing those things. Obviously, my time, I'm on the police review board. My time for that is ending. So a major impetus with that is, things haven't gone swimmingly, I'd say. Things could be better. At the same time, my dedication to the city and to the people in the city remains, right? So because my term is up this year anyway, I wanted to make sure that I still have a way to continue my advocacy for the people, for the city. And I think that there's a tangible way that I can help, even in communication and stuff like that, because earlier we were talking about like even the sheriffs and whatnot, and when people come to the review board, they don't understand that the sheriffs are not city cops. Like, that's not something that's under our purview, but they still need help accessing those resources. It's still a thing that a lot of people in the city care about. And I'm like, okay, cool. A different title, a different office, a different position would allow me a little bit more flexibility to do different things and to provide opportunities, right? Specifically with this, I think there's a big part of the city that wants to be involved in things and doesn't know how. Right? I think there's a communication gap. Sometimes we're not reaching them. Again, best of intentions and due diligence, but we have to go further, right? Kind of an example of that, at Leadership High School, the girls' school, we have the girls who developed their own PSA about smoking cessation. And I flat out told them, I'm an old guy. I don't know where you guys consume things. I don't speak your language. You'll probably have cool words that I've never heard in my life. So the person crafting that message should be you. And the girls wrote a script. They came up with a PSA. They filmed it. We're going to show that around wherever they tell me to, right? But allowing the youth to be a part of the processes and outline and structure what that communication looks like, I think that'll help a lot. Obviously, we have stuff going on like the curfew is a big thing that a lot of people are talking about and whatever else. And when we went to Baltimore, I was lucky enough to be a part of that. We had some of the same concerns that other people did, right? So I was literally on Facebook with a young person the other day that was like, oh, we don't want it to turn into X. And I said, we don't either. And thankfully, we're all on the same page about that, so hold on. There's just something you need to know. And to continue, I was like, listen, also, if you have ideas, you're exactly the young person that we need to hear from. I'm like, people do want to listen to you. I think sometimes there's a disconnect between young people and old people such as myself, not talking about anybody here, but old people such as myself and government and stuff like that, right? So I think there's clear channels of communication we can build, even in terms of outreach. At the Red Bookshelf, we do events. We have like a community center thing that we're working with Christchurch, Albany. We do stuff or whatever. But we have consistent events where we can do this outreach, where we can incorporate, what people are thinking and help them become a part of things. So with this role, I really think it allows a little bit more flexibility for the stuff that, I want to do with the city and everything else. And I think that would make sense over here.
Thank you. Any questions from committee members? Councilwoman Farrell.
Thank you so much. And hi, Paul, thank you so much for everything that you've done for our city, and not just your professional life, but also your extensive volunteering. I've had many years serving with you on the Albany Fund for Education, and I appreciate you stepping into the leadership role in that organization, but pretty much every other one that you've been involved with as well. So a huge thanks to not just caring about the city, but actually putting the work in to make real change and make a difference in the lives of the people and especially the kids of the city. What need or role do you see the Human Rights Commission filling within the city of Albany, and how do you see yourself being able to help achieve that?
I think the communication piece is a great vehicle for this board, right? In terms of communication, I'm not in the business line of anybody. A big argument that I had, even on the CPRB side of things, right? There was a survey that went out, and I was like, this is not a good survey. And they were like, you're not helping the CPRB. In reality, the entire conversation was, this is not real community outreach. What I expressed in an email and this document and everything else was, if we're really trying to solicit people's responses, we have to translate into different languages. We have to go to the Boys and Girls Club. We have to go to Rise. We have to go outside. We have to do all these other things. That's what real community engagement looks like, right? I got overruled on that thing, so it went out. And I said, community engagement is not posting a survey on your website and saying, hey, hope it works. So with this, we have the opportunity to go out, to be at events, to meet with other people, and keep that communication open. I think that way our actions are better informed across the board. And specifically when it comes to like events and stuff like that, I think there's a unique ability to kind of work in tandem even with the mayor's office, right? They want to do all these cool things and open you up and lights back on. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's relegated just to like nightlife and like parties per se, right? I think it's more about events that do attract people, but also showcase Albany and how cool it could be, right? So we have the Albany Center Gallery downtown. They do cool stuff. They have kids events and they have other game nights and whatever else. Fun, safe, great for tourists, great for everybody, turns the city on, and it's a whole different kind of event, right? Similarly, I was just talking to the Underground Railroad. They have a project where they're documenting like the history of Albany High and this person and that person, and I was like, wait, what? I'm like, bro, this should be on the CDTA bus stops, and we should have a commercial about this, and this should be in the rotunda. This should be something, because the Underground Railroad, it's an incredibly historic site that faces its funding challenges like everybody else, but we could do a lot to raise the profile of that very unique organization from a historical perspective. So I was like, oh, this could be great, and I think there's a lot of synergy between community-based programs that already exist, some of those events, and that's kind of why I like this too. I am busy, I'm super busy, that's cool. A lot of it comes down to the coordination of services, right? If I'm helping with an event and it also makes sense on the Human Rights Commission side and we're all on the same team, everything flows smoother. So I think me being here would allow me to bring in different community partners, bring in different youth voices, give them an open door to City Hall to some extent, and just kind of improve that relationship. And not for nothing, that was my goal even with the CPRB. Everybody in the city is not always going to agree about everything, but if we have a process that people are a part of, that people can have faith in, I think it helps us all in the long term. So a lot of these things I think can be accomplished as far as trust, communication, relationship building with our community partners. Just, I'm wearing a different hat this time around. I don't know if I answered your question. Did I answer your question? I just started talking. I'm sorry.
No, that was perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members or non-committee members? Councilmember Robinson.
Thank you. You find yourself part of the Human Rights Commission. Someone comes before you. They was approached by not the Albany Police Department, but they was approached by the Sheriff's Department, right? They were stopped, they was detained, they was harassed for no apparent reason other than being outside curfew hours, when in city law it states that this is a hands-off approach from the Albany Police Department, not unless a crime is being committed. What would be your advocacy, or how would you proceed on that level? Because now it's not the Albany Police Department, you know what I'm saying, that's using this. You have the Sheriff's Department that using this as a tool to further the way that they come in our communities and do what they do in our communities.
I think it would be a couple steps, in all honesty. I don't think that's a thing that would just have one, right? I think if the Sheriff's Department or somebody was to overstep in that way, one, I'd ask for clear rules and boundaries from our local officials here in the city of Albany about where that line is, what this law is intended to do, what their role is in that law, right? So a clarification piece. Additionally, when people come to us with complaints about state police or whoever else, we refer them as a CPRB, we refer them to those other agencies that do provide oversight for those offices. So my second step would be, if you really have a legitimate complaint, you really feel a way about it, you're always allowed to file a complaint and handle it and to document these processes. Because without the documentation piece, it's hard to make changes, right? The more things are documented, the more people can be held accountable, the more we can figure out what is the pattern here, how do we adjust it, how do we fix it moving forward. And then after that, I'd also hope that we can talk to our county legislatures who do have some degree of authority and oversight over those bodies and say, hey, listen, what can we do about this? So from the sheriff to our county legislators to the city to actually oversight on a higher level, I think those would all be viable options to kind of manage that situation. Because my other concern is if that situation isn't handled effectively with clear boundaries, with a clear expectation of what's to happen, it's more likely to happen again and again moving forward. So I don't know each one of those emails that I would send right away, but it would kind of be a conglomerate of those different things. Like, all of these people have to know, we have to be on the same page, and how do we make sure it doesn't happen again?
And I thank you, but we as a council, we have to make sure that that's within our legislation so it can be a clear understanding before it even happens. Because we got to foresee things like that happening.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Any additional questions from council members? Okay. Seeing none. Paul, do you have any additional information or any questions for us?
Sometimes people say stuff about me, and I don't really respond. I kind of just keep my head down and just do all the various things that I have to do. I do want to say that I appreciate the support from Councilman Johnson and from others who have been willing to hear me out. I've droned on and on in Alfredo's ear a couple times about stuff or whatever, but I do appreciate, the support. I genuinely believe that what you do defines you, so I do this work because I am who I am, and that's why I want to continue to do it, not for nothing.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that, and thank you for the work you do. I do want you to know that it is appreciated, and we see it in countless events where we've seen you and your team out there. So thank you for the work you're doing to make our city a better place to live.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, with that, I think that was our last candidate for this evening. So we will go into executive session to discuss the candidates. I'm going to ask Tom if you can just stay just for 5 minutes just to give us a quick, in executive session, a quick 5 minutes just to tell us your thoughts since you'll be working with these candidates. And then we'll go into the deliberation after that and you can step out. And I want to just say this before we go into executive session. I truly meant it. We are very fortunate to have so many great applicants for these events, for these positions. And this is always a difficult part because we only have one slot available. at this time. So with that, if we can, if I can get a motion to go into executive session to discuss the board position. Councilmember Farrell?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. So, okay, so we are back on. Thank you again for joining us for the Human Resources and Human Rights Committee. We are now out of executive session as we discussed the different individuals who have applied for the Commission of Human Rights. Like I stated before we went to executive session, we're very fortunate to be a city that has so many qualified individuals that are willing to volunteer their time and put their name forward to serve on this commission. Unfortunately, we only have one slot that's currently open, and we can only select one of the candidates. With that said, we have met and we've selected a candidate that we will be moving forward to the full body. However, we will not be sharing that name as part of the motion out of respect to all of the candidates, to allow the candidates to allow us to reach out to the candidates individually and let all of the candidates know before it goes to the full body for our next meeting. So with that, can I get a motion to move forward with the recommendation that we had in executive session to go to our next meeting with a favorable recommendation? Councilmember Furl.
I move that we move forward with the name discussed in executive session and with a positive recommendation to the full body.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Johnson. All in favor? I have 1, 2, I'm an aye, 3, any more ayes? Aye, 4. Okay, so 4 in favor. Any abstains? 1 abstention. Well, that's 5, so that's it. This will be moving forward with a positive recommendation with full positive and 1 abstention. With that, we conclude what we have on our agenda for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn from Councilmember Zama. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Williams. All in favor? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us again, and have a